the game. Patting the ball. Maye scanning. Loads of time. He'll roll. He'll run. A sidestep. He's ready to throw. Nobody's open. Into the end zone. Touchdown. Oh my goodness. Stevenson. And Maye with an absolute...
If only, if only. Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit presented by the Grid Network. I am your host, Tim Barnett, and on this show, we talk about all Boston sports. This is your home for all the Boston sports content. And yesterday's game was an absolute heartbreaker in a way that it was great to see Drake Maye. He was playing. He had his rookie mistakes. Not going to deny that. But also, too, it was a heartbreaker because you had him march all the way down. He got set up in good field position off the Marcus Jones punt. They get all the way down. They score that miraculous touchdown. Then they kick the extra point. Then they go to overtime, and they basically pissed away overtime. It was just one of those things where I don't know what was going on, what they were thinking, if it all made sense in a way, but it was definitely a game that, again, highlighted the weaknesses that is this team. It goes to show how bad this team really is. And it's not because we lost. It was everything from the players not making the right plays, getting penalties called against them at the wrong times, allowing Mason freaking Rudolph and at the time 1-6 Tennessee Titans to march down on the opening possession like they had all the yards in front of them, and there was no one to stop them. Like, that's how that opening drive went. I started off that game with a tweet right after they scored that touchdown. I saw that tight end get it, stumble into the end zone, and immediately it was like, well, sure looks like the defense came to play today, because that was just so atrocious to let Mason Rudolph and the Titans do what he did on the opening possession of the game. And the funny part was, and this is why I was so pissed off about the game, about the victory against the Jets last week, saying the Jets lost that game more than the Patriots won it. And I meant that because you had all week long, the team came to play. They had Gerard Mayo's back after he called them soft, this, that, and the other. And then you have that opening drive, as well as just Mason Rudolph racking up some yards against you, all right? Because it wasn't like, they had that one drive and then they pretty much stalled out. No. The Tennessee Titans kind of owned your ass, because when you look at the breakdown of the game, Mason Rudolph and the Titans offense racked up 400 total yards to your 295. And I'm going to come back to that 295 in a minute. Do not forget that. They had no idea how to operate in the red zone, especially seeing how you had they intercepted you. They intercepted Drake Maye. That really awful interception, which I just was like, ooh, like that was a classic rookie move. I was kind of like, you're going to have that. You're going to have that. And yeah, it was bad. Not going to deny it. But he's a rookie. He was trying to fit it in, and obviously off his back foot, guys in front of him. What are you going to do? So he throws the pick to Armani Hooker, and then they march all the way down to the field. And I have it right here because I had to take note of it from the get-go. The Titans, it was their fourth drive of the game, had a 1st and goal from the New England 8-yard line. They lined up in a shotgun. My gut reaction was like, what are you doing? You're at the 8-yard line. You're first to goal. You've been running the football down our throats. And you line up in the friggin' shotgun at the 8? Like, come on, dude. And, of course, what do? They run a draw out of it. They gain 5 yards. They get down to the 3. And then you have Mason Rudolph. I keep wanting to say Ryan Tannehill. You have Mason Rudolph line up under center. And it's like, all right, you know what? It's dog-eat-dog world right here. Let's go. Let's toughen up. Let's man up. And what do? They run a friggin' play action. And after he bolts out of the pocket, he immediately has to get rid of it because Keon White was up his ass. So, 3rd and goal now from the 8-yard line. They line up in a shotgun again, trips to the right. And what happens? They have the 2 inside receivers both go up and out towards the back corner of the end zone. Meanwhile, the outside receiver does a quick slant in to cut underneath, hoping that those 2 would take all 3 defenders with them. And he would have had an easy touchdown had Mason Rudolph, 1, took a little bit more off that football, and 2, the guy had hands who could catch. Because what happened was it went right off his hands, bobbled out, and Jelani Tavai comes up with the interception. I just saw that and was like, how stupid do you have to be to do exactly that? So Tennessee gave up a classic red zone possession right there. Then you had on your second drive, so New England, on your second drive, I'm going back a little bit because this kind of pissed me off. And especially listening to Zolak and Bob Sosey, which is so much better than listening to the guys on television. But second drive, you had a 3rd and 9. And you had Kendrick Bourne not only false start, but run 6 yards down the field before he realizes, wait, the ball wasn't snapped yet? So obviously that's going to back you up. It's now 3rd and 14. And then the play call you have is you're going to Bourne short side on an 11-yard out route. And he comes up 3 yards short. Like, you need to have something there that is not only going to give him the yardage needed, but if you're going to run short of the first down, don't go short side and immediately, because obviously if you're short side, you're not going to have that much run, which is going to force you out of bounds. So basically, where you catch it's where you're going to go out. And because you went short of the sticks, you're short of the sticks. And it just goes to show how costly and how stupid this team can be sometimes with that false start. Even Kendrick Bourne, I didn't think looked all that good. I mean, he had some great catches. I'm not going to deny that. But there were moments where you're just like, dude, you're the vet. What are you doing? So the other thing that I need to get to, because I don't know about you, but this kind of had me up an effing wall, was New England has the ball. Late second quarter, minute 51 remaining. It's 1st and 10 at the 15. And we have 2 timeouts. And I immediately am thinking to myself, great. What greatness does Alex Van Pelt have in store with this offense on 1st and 10 at our own 15? Sure enough, we come out firing. Drake Maye completes a 14-yard pass to Kendrick Bourne. Then, 1st and 10 again, Drake Maye goes back to Kendrick Bourne for 9 yards. It's like, all right, here we go. Let's get the ball rolling. We got a minute 51, clock's going down. It's all right. It's taking its time. We're moving the football. We're passing the ball. We're going to go down and we're going to score. We're going to get a double score out of this. Maybe not a touchdown, but we could have gotten at least some points out of it. I don't know what happened between 1st and 10 at our own, let's see if I do the math, 29-yard line. I don't know what happened between 1st and 10 at our own 29 and 2nd and 1 at our own 38. But we then decide to run the ball with JaMychal Hasty, which obviously went nowhere because, one, we ran the ball against that stout D-line, Jeffrey Simmons being included, in case you didn't know who he is. That went for no gain. Then you were like, oh, well, it's still 3rd and 1. We just need to get this first down, which two things crossed my mind. Number one, this is not college football. Just because you get the first down does not mean the clock is going to stop for that short amount of time after you get the first down to have the chain move. Okay? Second, what are you doing running the football on 3rd and 1 after you made two passes that moved the ball in this same drive? Because then we run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson, which went nowhere, wound up for -1 yard. So now it's 4th and 2. And guess what? We're punting. La-di-da. And then they get the ball. Actually, the best part was it was a 15-yard punt that landed, if my math works out, at their 47. So they have the ball at midfield. And then they're too stupid enough to not even let Mason Rudolph attempt a Hail Mary. Like, could you imagine had they attempted the Hail Mary? I feel like at this point they would have got it. Just because, and do I believe that? Kind of 50-50. But it just, you're overthinking this. This is why this coaching staff sucks, or at least one of the reasons from this game why this coaching staff sucks. It is 1st and 10. You have 1:51 and 2 timeouts. You have the opportunity to go down and get a possible double score out of this whole thing. And you start off after the last several games running the ball every time you're in this situation, which I don't know how it seems to be that you keep ending up in this situation, but you do. And so you're in this situation and you run the ball every single time. You're like, nope, I'm not going to test it. Not going to test it. Just want to run, get this half over with, and we'll go into halftime and do whatever. Well, this time you come out slinging. You're like, kid, get us to the promised land. Oh, wait, you got 2 completions in a row? Yeah, no. Stop throwing the ball. We're just going to run it out right now. What? What are we doing? And all I can think of is, in that particular scenario, who has the power? Gerard Mayo or Alex Van Pelt? Or is it Evan Rothstein, the nerd upstairs, the analytic guy? Who is it? Because, I don't know, last time I checked, having an opportunity to go for a double score when it's 9 seconds under the 2-minute warning is an eternity in football terms. Eternity. 1:51. Hell, Patrick Mahomes took 13 seconds to get into field goal range for Harrison Butker in the playoffs. And I'm not comparing Drake Maye to Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying that is probably the fastest I've seen one team go from practically their red zone all the way to the other teams to get into field goal range, basically. Right? 1:51 is an eternity. I don't care if he's 22 or he's 42. It's an eternity, especially with 2 timeouts. and you come out, you throw the ball. I wanted to tear my hair out with how little I have. I wanted to tear my hair out after I saw us bring out the punt team, because I could not have been more furious at that play calling. And I don't know what the hell. Like, did Van Pelt start freaking out for no reason and go, oh my God, we got to burn as much clock so that Tennessee doesn't have time so we can score and it's going to end of the half. Like, oh my God, and just overthought it? Or is he really that stupid where he goes, oh, it's a 2nd and 1. We just made 2 great completions. Let's run the football here. I mean, my God. Because if I was Gerard Mayo, I think I would have gone to him after the first run and said, the hell you doing? Freaking throw the damn ball. That infuriated me. Absolutely infuriated me. And then, of course, it just goes to show like how many stupid mistakes you make. Tennessee goes up 17-10. And then the Patriots are finally moving the ball. It's the 4th quarter. This is the drive. Basically, it's a 4-minute offense. We got to move all the way down. We got to burn as much clock as possible. But we also have to score right here to tie it up. And they were moving the football. Drake Maye completed the Kendrick Bourne for 22 yards down to the Tennessee 35. But then it got called back because our center had an awful game yesterday, was holding. And somehow the defense got Tennessee into a 3-and-out, which all of a sudden led to the Drake Maye miraculous, no time left on the clock, literally in the process of getting sacked, somehow gets rid of the ball, just floating up in the air, and it gets to right where only Ramondre Stevenson can catch it. And they make a touchdown. The other thing that the tough part about that is, so you have a decision to make right there. Do you go for 2 to win the game, or do you kick the extra point to then send it to overtime? Let me know in the comments below. Because in that situation, with this team and how we've been playing, because as the title of the show says, to go or not to go for 2. I would have gone for 2. And I would have gone for 2, not because the analytics tell me that it's a good idea to go for 2. No, I go for 2 because I'm looking at this from a game scenario. What is going on the field? Okay, we were moving the ball before we had the punt. We moved the ball. We got to Tennessee's 35. But then that holding call brought it back. The next play, we couldn't get anywhere, so we punted the football. Then the defense stops it for 3-and-out. And while I give credit to the defense for that, that is not enough of a thing for me to still have faith in them, just based on how many yards we've gained versus them. And Drake Maye, in all his glory, somehow, some way, is able to lead the Patriots to, the 2-3 yard line, regardless, lead them inside the 5, and just throws up basically a ball that you're just watching it. And I can guarantee you, every single one of you out there watching this, watch that ball just float, and your heart just stopped. That ball could not have gotten down any faster, because that's you're just waiting. Oh my God, is somebody there? Is somebody going to get open? Oh my God, Stevens is there. The guy's behind him. Does he have a chance? And he makes the catch. Like you lost it. You lost it. But it felt like it took 30 seconds for that ball to even come down. And so in that situation right there, you need to go for 2. And as I said earlier, it's not because the nerds are going to say, oh, that going for 2 and going for the win is better. No, you go for it because Tennessee is on their heels right now. It's a do or die because I don't even if we got the ball to start off overtime, can you sit there and tell me that you trusted Drake Maye and this Patriots offense based on how the entire game went, that they could march down the field and score a touchdown and or a field goal? I don't know. I didn't. And it's interesting because Drake Maye was asked about that. He was asked about not going for 2. And it was a big decision to make because not only was it going for 2 to go for the win, you win or lose on this play alone, but also you're going for 2 and you're kicking into the wind. I mean, do you remember that extra point? It was close. It was really, really close. And it squeaked through. God love him. But at the end of the day, I wasn't confident in our offense being able to do anything. And then, of course, we get to overtime. And we were so discombobulated that not only did the Patriots lose the coin toss, right? I mean, hey, 50-50 shot. You know, heads has always worked for us before, but obviously it didn't work out this time. Whatever. No big deal. But then we picked the side that the wind was going to end up blowing in our face. So we're defending the side that basically gives Tennessee the wind at their back. And Drake Maye was asked about this in the press conference actually earlier today. Take a listen.
And then wondering why you chose the direction you did in overtime. Drake mentioned after the game that, throw kind of died a little bit in the wind there. So clearly you guys decided to kick into the wind.
Yeah, so the wind, at the time, I would say the wind had changed. So the wind had changed from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. So that's what happened.
So explain to me how the wind changes like that. Because it didn't. Like, with especially, now you could say all you want, right? That, no, it did, and this, that, and the other. I mean, you're listening to people who are at the game. They say no, like the wind was the same the whole time. Regardless, the one pinpoint that you have that the wind didn't change was the fact that we kicked into the wind on a 56-yard field goal attempt on our first drive of the game, and obviously Joey Sly came up short. So he missed that, and we all knew that going left to right was where the wind was going, and that's exactly where we were. We were going left to right. And so, of course, when you line up going left to right, I'm pretty sure it was even mentioned in the broadcast, but that's something you have to know. You have to stay on top of that the entire time of the game. I mean, just go back to Super Bowl 53. The reason why I bring that up is because Bill Belichick almost delayed the start of the game because the roof wasn't going to close in time. The roof. He had the whole thing planned out based on the roof being closed because that's what he was told. But now that the wind was even partially open, or the roof was partially open, he had to change everything. Like, that's what it means to be the head coach, to know the little things, to understand kicking, to understand wind, to understand conditions, the field, the timing. I mean, need I go on? And I feel like Drake Maye was in over his head. You know, going for 2 at the end of that game, I would equate to going for 2 back in 09, or going for on 4th down back in 09 on 4th and 2. It's not an analytic play. It's a play about momentum and the play kind of necessity. Now, of course, had he gone for it and had they not gotten it, we'd be sitting here going, well, you know, you should have gone for 2, and or you shouldn't have gone for 2. You should have kicked the extra point. You should have gone to overtime. You should have given your team a chance. And yeah, you know, a part of me would have said that. And then, of course, probably a part of me would have been blaming the analytics because, you know, Evan Rothstein upstairs said it's better to go for 2, which obviously, like, obviously I'd be blaming the analytics and the nerds because it's easy and I'm right. But, you know, like that's kind of what bothers me is Drake Maye, when asked earlier today in his press conference about going for 2, he came up and was like, basically, I was questioned, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, about going for 2. I was questioned going for 2, and now I'm being questioned because I didn't go for 2. And again, when he got questioned going for 2, it's because it's a very different scenario. They were in London. They were playing a Jacksonville Jaguars team. They were down 15. So obviously at some point, you're going to have to go for 2. If memory serves, there was still like 7, 8, 9 minutes remaining in the game. You score a touchdown. At that moment, you should have gone for 1. And if you're trying to equate going for 2 when there is no time left on the clock, knowing, yeah, you're going to have a tough time moving the ball with this team, rather than you're going to equate that then in going for 2 with 7 minutes remaining, and you're now down what ended up being 9. Yeah, that's a very different scenario. Okay? Like, it's one thing to go for 2 at the end of the game, like we had the opportunity to win. It's a very different thing to go for 2 with 7, 8, 9 minutes remaining and asking yourself, well, if we get it, all we need is a touchdown and extra point. But if we don't get it, now we need to create 2 more, or at least another possession on the one that we could potentially already have. 2 wildly different thought processes, which is why I'm looking at what Drake Maye said, and I go, dude, you clearly don't understand. And yes, you're criticized on every single move you make. Every single one. It's human nature. You know, when you win, everything is good. When you lose, everything you do is wrong and bad. It's just the nature of the beast. And with that being said, it sounded like, I don't know, either the pressures of being a head coach are either getting to him, or it might not have been his decision. The decision might have already been made. Maybe not by him. Maybe by Evan Rothstein, the guy upstairs. Upstairs. But at the end of the day, again, that's something that you need to prepare your team for. I mean, it's so mind numbing to me that we're in this predicament. And again, was that missed call the only thing that lost this team the game? No, of course not. As I showed you earlier in the game breakdown, look at this. Tennessee possessed the ball for over 38 minutes, had one turnover, and yeah, they were 2 for 5 in the red zone, but they outgained you by 105 yards. That 295 yards, can you tell me how much of it is Drake Maye's? 95% of it. 95% of New England's total yards that game came from Drake Maye. He amassed 280 yards himself. That's right. Because the running backs amassed only 15 yards on 12 carries. Meanwhile, Tennessee's running backs went 33 for $150, averaging 4.54 yards per carry. So can you please explain to me, what is it about this team that is even remotely redeeming outside of Drake Maye? Let me know in the comments below. Or you can hit me up all over social media. Boston Sports Summit on Instagram, Boston Sports Summit on Twitter. Also, the handle is BOS Sports Summit. And then obviously YouTube and the Grid Network. But again, outside of Drake Maye, can you name me a redeeming quality from this team? It's very, very difficult to do. And okay, maybe Christian Gonzalez. All right, outside of those two, who else? What else? Everybody's already started to talk now about a top 5 draft pick or the number 1 overall draft pick. And yes, we are in the number 1 overall draft position as it currently stands. But we're already talking about it. We're already talking about trading out, accumulating more picks, doing this, that, or the other. To which my only question is, if that's what we're talking about, which I don't want to talk about because it's still way too early. We're going to have plenty of draft talk from freaking January, February, March, and until late April is when the draft is. But do you trust this staff, front office, coaching, to get it right? Again, I brought up last week, when you're looking at all the draft picks that the Patriots made after Drake Maye, because like I said, let's face it, there were 3 guys in the first 3 picks, and it was going to be some sort of Williams, Daniels, Maye. That's it. If Daniels went first, then Maye, we would have grabbed Caleb Williams. It was that no matter what. Even if we traded with the Giants were going to take Drake Maye. You know what I mean? So you have that. That was a foregone conclusion. And my dog could have picked that. But then afterwards, you allegedly try to move up to the end of the first. You tried to move up to the end of the second, to no avail. But then, and so with that being done and that being said, you made these picks that Jalen Polk can't keep his mouth shut and has the drops like nobody's business. You have Javon Baker that hasn't been able to see the field yet outside of kickoff return. And then you have the 2 offensive linemen that really have not been impressive. It has not been a good draft. And then, of course, talk about the free agency, right? You whiffed on that. You thought Chukwuekorfor was going to be this great left tackle for you. And, oh, my God, look, we got him on the cheap. He's 26. He's a big body. Yeah, well, if Pittsburgh's letting him go, then they know something's totally wrong with that guy. And then, of course, your failed pursuit of Calvin Ridley, being that you lost out by $1 million due to the fact that you wouldn't go up that one extra guarantee. Because that's what it's all about to these guys. It's all about the guaranteed money. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not want Calvin Ridley, and I am glad that this team did not get Calvin Ridley. But I am still holding Elliott Wolf and the Patriots accountable for that because they did. They were that close to getting Ridley. And whether it was because of his wife or the guaranteed money, or maybe both, he went to Tennessee instead. So yes, the Patriots should be held accountable for that, even though I did not want the player. And I'm glad we don't have the player. So it's just kind of this thing where we have the guy. Can we all agree with that? We have the guy. Drake Maye is the future. As I just chuck my pen off to the side. Drake Maye is the future. And he's proven to be phenomenal. But can we trust this offense? Like, can we trust the front office to be able to build around him? And can we also trust the coaching staff to coach him and the other players right and to do the right thing at the right time? Because so far, I haven't seen it. So far, I haven't seen it. And that's what has me worried, is that all this upcoming free agency, all this upcoming draft talk, hell, even the trade deadline that's going to be taking place tomorrow. Do we really, really expect the Patriots to, one, make a move, or two, get it right? To get the right guys, to put them in the right system so that they can succeed. Right now, there's a lot of chat, a lot of talk going on. Not a lot of good play going on. So it's just been arguably an effing nightmare for the Patriots right now for a number of reasons. Because like I said, outside of Drake Maye and maybe even Christian Gonzalez, who on this team is good enough to be the pillar, the cornerstone, alongside those two? And with the front office and coaching staff, I don't know if there will be. I don't know if they're going to get that right. Odds are they don't. So they got a big game coming up this weekend, which I'll talk more about on Thursday. But moving on, we got some Bruins talk, some Bruins over the weekend, as I called this team after their loss to the Hurricanes effing pathetic, because they were and they are. Actually, it wasn't even after the game. It was during the game. Because over the recent stretch for the Bees, they got shut out by that awful Flyers team, 2-0. Then they got absolutely annihilated by the Hurricanes, 8-2. And what do the Hurricanes have? 2-3 goals in the span of like 13 seconds or something like that? Followed up by a shutout victory with Jonas Korpisalo in Philly. And then, of course, they were home the other night and shut out the Kraken. Actually, I think it was last night. Yeah, they shut out the Kraken last night, and they were able to honor Jack Edwards, which I do want to get to in just a second. But over those 4 games, it has been just And yes, they won. Yes, it was good. But it's been a cluster because I don't understand how the team is, again, this bad. I know we've always had our issues against Carolina, but Swayman was in net for that and got pulled. Now, did it help him to shut out Seattle last night? Maybe. But we might be trending towards a goalie Bob is real situation if Jonas Korpisalo keeps playing the way he does. Because Korpisalo is the only, between the two goalies, I should say, Korpisalo has an above 900 save percentage. Or at least had a 900 save percentage. Sorry, I just looked it up. 894. Okay. But Korpisalo was playing better than Jeremy Swayman. And then, of course, Swayman follows it up with his shutout. But the game against Seattle isn't necessarily a happy one because David Pastrnak got benched for the entire third period. He got benched for the entire third because he had a bad turnover late in the game, which he always does, though. He holds on to the puck so much and tries to do all these finesse things that once you get physical with him, there you go. You have the puck, basically is how it goes. So the funny thing is, they were absolutely out shooting Seattle. They had over 30 shots through two periods. But then in the third, Pasternak's benched, and then the shot totals went from through two periods went 13-3 in favor of Seattle. We only got 3 scoring chances with Pasta on the bench. So did that even work? Was the team sitting there going, all right, hey, he's benched. Let's go. Let's pick our game up. Come on, we got to do it. Because if you're looking at that, it doesn't look like they did. It doesn't look like they did. And Montgomery, at this point, is trying to do everything. He's trying to pull the cat out of the bag. He's trying to pull, everything, every trick in the book. But is the team resonating with it? Are they able to look at that and be like, oh, damn, Pasta sitting? All right, that means we got to get our acts together. Because it doesn't look like they did. Yeah, they won. They shut out Philly and they shut out Seattle, which they should have done. But Seattle had plenty of chances. Like, if they scored, if it was a 2-1 game in the third, would Pasta have gone back in? Would Montgomery have stuck to his stance and sat Pasta for good or bad, win or lose? I don't know. And if they did and they ended up losing, would that have been the nail in the coffin? Because I thought the nail in the coffin was that Carolina 8-2 beatdown on Halloween. But apparently not. So am I going to have to continue to ask these questions up until, like I said, Thanksgiving? Or is the team going to play out of their funk and figure it out? I mean, what kind of pisses me off is Charlie McAvoy went public and said basically that we've started fast. We started fast in the past, but we finished poorly at the end. So now we're going to do the reverse. So what? You're going to openly lose games at the start of the season to save your legs for the end? Explain that to me. Make that make sense. Because as it stands right now, November 4th, 2024, you suck. It's that simple. You suck. And I would rather, you know what? You start fast, because that means you're getting more points under your belt. Where all of a sudden, come February, come March, you're not trying to get help from other teams. The only team that you need to get help from in order to be the division winner or be in the top 3 spots to have home playoff ice is yourself. You're the one that is controlling everything, not getting help from other teams, hoping they lose when you win. Like that mindset right there is scary. That mindset right there is scary. And if this is how it's going to go, then we're not good enough. It's that simple. If this is how it's going to go, we're not good enough. And I don't like our chances. You know, and it doesn't sometimes as a goalie, you can truly stand on your head. But there are going to be goals that get by you that aren't your fault. And if that's the case, then the Bruins are going to continue to lose because they're not scoring. They're not that good. And it's worrisome. It's absolutely worrisome. So I don't know. I don't know if this team needs a change, because if they do, then you know what? Do it. Make the change. Do what you did with Phil Kessel. You know what? Brad Marchand, I don't think you're going to get a good enough return for him. So shake it up. Send Hampus Lindholm out of here. See what you can get for him. Hell, I would even feel calls on Pasternak right now. I would. You know, if some team truly wants to be stupid, all right, peace. It's been fun, but every year the playoffs roll around, he's a no-show. And I want guys who can score goals in the regular season, and I want guys who are able to score goals in the postseason, because not for nothing, the postseason's more important. So it's getting to that point where the direction of this team is not looking good. It's not looking good. And then on a more lighter Bruins note, Jack Edwards, unfortunately, had to retire probably long before he wanted to. He went on Nesson, and I don't have this clip because it's kind of tough to watch, but he addresses what's going on with him, and he, even to this day, he still says how the doctors have given him all these tests and that he's 100% healthy. They just don't know why there's a disconnect between what's running through his brain and how he's not able to speak it as fast as he thinks it. And so, you know, I just keep praying for him, and that, you know, he is either able to find an answer for it and or get better. Because that's just, it's awful to see that, because Jack Edwards, whatever you want to say about him, man, he was absolutely hilarious. He was somebody that I tuned into, because you could tell not only did he love the game of hockey, but he loved the Boston Bruins. He loved being the play-by-play for Nesson and the Bruins. And some of his calls, I mean, my God, are just absolute classics. I put a few together. So here are some of my all-time favorite Jack Edwards moments. Listen.
Lucic, top of the circle, Horton, the drive, score! The Bruins knock out Montreal! Fields from Falk, DeBrusque spins in middle, Krejci scores! The Bruins come
A little bit of contact. Oh, that's a sell job.
Oh, come on.
Pretty good sell job there by Spezza.
Oh, my arm may never work again.
Anderson down on his front, and they're going to wave the play dead with the Bruins on the power play coming into the attacking zone. I mean, I understand if this is a peewee game or if there's a bone sticking out of his leg, but that is utterly ridiculous. And you're going to stop the play for a guy who's still conscious? It goes down as if shot. Get up! Marchand scores! They did it! 2 goals with the goalie pulled, and the Bruins, showing hearts of lions, have tied it 3-3. Oh, he's such a homer. He's such a homer.
I mean, just all-time classics. Like the two in particular, obviously the Toronto one, the guy, why are you stopping the play? He's still conscious. Like that is just all-time. And then two, beating the Carolina Hurricanes wearing Hartford Whaler uniforms and saying strip the whale of its blubber and burn it. Absolutely electric. And then, of course, one more. This had to be separate, but I think if you don't know what I'm about to play, then you don't remember this game. But here it is.
To Bergeron, the drive, save, rebound is loose. Sagan kicks it loose. Bergeron scores! Patrice Bergeron with the point of the dagger in their throats. They rip it out of Toronto's hands and kill the beast. The Boston Bruins have won it after being 3 down in the third.
Game 7, Toronto, Boston, down 4-1 in the third, tie it up, win it in overtime. Game, oh God, that was just an unbelievable game, unbelievable turn of events. And of course, as you can see, Jack Edwards just absolutely loving what he does and had all the greatest analogies I think I've ever heard. But, you know, I'm glad they honored him, and he rightfully so deserved it. And, you know, I do like Judd Surratt, you know, who's the current play-by-play now for the Bruins. But I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to find somebody like Jack. So that was, you know, it's always good reliving those memories. But then last thing I want to talk about is obviously the Celtics. They get back to their winning ways after being down 24 to Indiana, looking like they're going to get blown out of Indiana, but they somehow make a miraculous comeback. Jason Tatum tying the game with a step back 3, sends the game into overtime. But then, of course, the Celtics falter in overtime, can't hold on, and ultimately lose to the Pacers as their first loss of the season last Wednesday. But they were able to get back to their winning ways after beating the Hornets, both games in Charlotte, back-to-back. But it's not so much them beating the Hornets that it has a lot of people talking, because let's be honest, beating the Hornets is basically a foregone conclusion. It's the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, they're bums. LaMelo Ball, kind of good, but the rest of the team, bums. And you have the one massive scumbag, that is Grant Williams. I hated Grant Williams playing for the Celtics, and I still hate Grant Williams wearing another team's uniform. And, oh, by the way, did I mention Grant Williams went to Tennessee? Yeah, look at how they breed him in Tennessee. Bad. So this is the big play that everybody's talking about. And just as a warning, the announcers that you're going to hear on this video absolutely suck and have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So I just wanted to put that PSA out there before I play this video. Take a listen.
The cylinder. Oh, and Grant Williams, that was a hard foul against his good buddy Jason Tatum. That may be looked at.
Yeah, well, Tatum's like, what's up with trouble? No problem. Hey, we're competitive. We're playing hard. It's a physical game. Stride to the line.
Yeah, Tatum didn't think it was a big idea, but
absolute scumbag move. Scumbag move, Grant Williams. And the funniest part was, again, I think we all thought that him and Tatum were like best bros. And here's what Grant Williams had to say about that when talking to Caleb Burton of NBC Sports Boston.
I think it's more so he didn't see me more than anything else. Like I'm reaching, like I definitely made contact with his body before I reached. But probably a hard foul, definitely not intentional, not trying to hurt him by any means. We all know that's one of my closest friends in the league. And as you see, he got up and just walked away, and then I got up, asked for help, raised my hand like I thought it was a foul. JB kind of escalated it, but I understand he's trying to protect his teammate and stuff like that. But that's my dog. No matter what, I got his back, and I didn't mean to try and, I don't know, he won't take.
It's so stupid, so idiotic. I mean, I can at least respect the fact that he said, yeah, I made contact before I reached. But you knew what you were doing the entire time. Like, you can't tell me that making a beeline like that, you don't know, one, the angle in which you need to go to in order to steal the ball. But two, that was 100% intentional because you made contact initially. And yeah, Tatum got up and walked away because he was probably ready to cuss your ass out, if not throw down. And he was trying to hold himself back because he knows he's the superstar of the team. And that's not his game. It's everybody else, including Jaylen Brown. And the fact, too, that he's like, oh, well, JB escalated it. Yeah. Oh, actually, excuse me. No, he didn't escalate it. Your dumbass escalated it by making that friggin' foul. I mean, hello, like this is what I'm talking about by delusional. This a-hole was delusional wearing Celtic green. The dude wouldn't stop running his mouth to referees while wearing Celtic green, and it drove me up a wall because at best, Grant Williams is a friggin' role player. All right? He is a nobody in this league. And so the fact that he thinks he does all these things and he tries to act tough and be this tough guy, man, it is an act. He is a loser and a scumbag, especially after making that. And Jaylen Brown had a few thoughts on this after the game. Here's what he said, quote, I don't know what that was about. I think that spoke for itself. I don't know if Grant missed JT or I don't know what that was, but that just wasn't a basketball play. Grant knows better than that. He goes on to say, actions speak loud. It is what it is. We got the win, but there's no place in the game for that. I thought JT and Grant were friends. I guess not. And then Brown says a little bit more, saying, calling the hard foul, quote, some BS, and for sure intentional, which is what I'm saying, which is exactly what I'm saying. Grant Williams, I mean, the dude thinks, like I said, the dude thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and he ain't. He ain't close to that. In my opinion, the dude's a scumbag. Always has been, always will be. And just to kind of add a little insult to injury, Jaylen Brown is now out for tonight's game against the Hawks. He's going to miss his second straight game, and he's going to get a second MRI done on his hip in as many weeks. And that's going to be really the major focus of this team, I think, this year in terms of their repeating. It's not that, we're going to have off nights. It's not that, the team's not good enough. It's not deep enough. No, we know it's good enough. It's deep enough. The only kicker is our health. If we can maintain our health, then I think we'll be fine. I think we will repeat. But if 1, 2, 3 guys are done for an extended period of time, and it doesn't mean, and I'm talking regular season, but when it counts, when it matters, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard to repeat. So hopefully Brown gets better. Jaylen Brown gets better, and that he can, come back fast, but also come back 100% healthy, no issues. So, they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for because, Celtics got to win. Celtics got to repeat. Let's go. It's going to be electric. So we're going to be electric, go back to back. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Boston Sports Summit on this special time. We're going to be coming back to you on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking more about the Patriots' upcoming game, as well as what happens and any other major news stories that go on during the rest of the week. So stay tuned. Thank you. And for the Boston Sports Summit, which is presented by the Grin Network, I am your host, Tim Barnett, where you can find all Boston sports right here. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday. See you then.